Hey, what's happening? It's Dr. McLean from Vital Energy Chiropractic. Today I want to talk to you about the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics says that things go from living things, energy and matter, is always going to go from a state of order to disorder. Okay? The first law of thermodynamics says that energy is never created or destroyed. But when things go from a state, and the second law of thermodynamics says that things that go from a state of order to disorder, we're going to lose some energy in that process. Now, it doesn't get destroyed, but it's going to dissipate. So what does that mean? And by the way, these laws are absolute. I didn't make these up. The laws of these physics of energy and matter are absolute. It's kind of like gravity. I don't care if you're black or white or green, or if you live in Canada or Montana or Mexico, gravity is going to affect you, right? It doesn't care who you are, it's a law. So the second law of thermodynamics, it's a law, it's absolute. So what does that mean? Well, when we eat food, the reason that we have to eat food again later is your body's going to use some of that food, that energy, to maintain you. It's going to use it to run your body, to digest food, to create new cells. So it's going to dissipate. That's why you've got to continue to eat, right? Your teeth are going to be in a state of decay. So if you don't brush your teeth and stay ahead of that, you're more likely to get a cavity. Now, here's the challenge when it comes to our health. We know that process is happening every single day, but it's not as obvious. And we don't see that on a second-to-second basis. Just like we know eating a Big Mac is not good for us and it can damage our heart. But you don't eat a Big Mac and fall over dead from a heart attack, or smoke one cigarette and fall over dead from a heart attack. It's a process. And just like when you develop a cavity, you might feel that pain of the cavity, but it didn't happen overnight. It isn't because you ate that one candy bar last night. It took months, maybe even sometimes years, for that cavity to develop. So we have to look at our health the same way. And again, we can reverse engineer that to put energy into that. So for example, and by the way, let's go back to the food example for just a minute. The food you're eating is going to depend, again, on the quality of our body. So if our body's using that energy to digest our food, to make new cells, well, the quality of those things are going to depend on the quality of the food that we eat. So it's going to take maybe more food or more calories if we're eating really bad calories to maintain that. So the quality of your body is going to depend on the type of food, not just the amount of food, right? So same thing with taking care of our spine, because especially of our environment today of computers, driving, sitting, things that we should be doing. We should be physically moving most of the day. We should be getting out in the sunshine. We should be living off the land, and that's just not the reality of our lives for most of us today. So there's going to be more stress, there's going to be more dissipation of that energy, right? We're going to go from a state of order to disorder. There's going to be more energy when we're putting more pressure on the system, so to speak. So we've got to put more energy into that to maintain those things. And with, again, our spine and nervous system, that's the quality of our life is dependent on the quality of our spine and nervous system, right? You notice you take an iPhone, the best iPhone in the world, or Android, or whatever phone that you have, but if you're not getting a good signal, you don't have a good Wi-Fi signal, or maybe you're up in the mountains, you have a good signal, it doesn't matter. That phone's not going to work because it can't get the signal. And it's the same thing with our body. You can eat right, you can exercise, but the quality of how our heart functions, or how our intestines function, or our muscles in our body is dependent on the signal coming from our brain out to those bodies. It's absolute. So we have to, unfortunately today, is put more time and energy into those things. 100 years ago, it wasn't quite as important, but it is today. So you've got to do regular chiropractic adjustments if you choose to be healthy. You've got to do regular spinal maintenance to offset the stress of, again, sitting in the computer, driving a car, doing those different things. So think of your health in that way, as it is a process. It's a habit. It's going to take energy into it. The good news is when you put that energy into it, you maintain it. It's much, much easier. Just like a car, right? If you just let it totally break down, it's going to take a lot more energy and cost to get it fixed back up again, versus if you just do some little things along the way to maintain it, it's going to be much, much easier. Think of your health that way. It's a process. And that's what I love about chiropractic. Chiropractic is truly a lifestyle. It's a form of healthcare. It's not a treatment. We're not trying to fix things after the fact. We're trying to maintain that as a lifestyle, as a habit, to get a very high level of health and then keep it that way.